Outlander has always walked the line between history and fantasy, between love story and survival saga, but with Season 8, the show is stepping into completely uncharted territory. The books never brought Faith back. Diana Gabaldon never suggested she survived. And yet, here we are, Claire's firstborn daughter, long believed to be dead, might still be out there. The final episodes of Season 7 left just enough of a clue to make fans question everything. A mysterious vision, a whispered name, a flash of something unexplainable. That's all it took. And now, we're standing on the edge of the most devastating and miraculous reveal in the show's history. Claire, who has been through every kind of loss a woman can endure, is about to face the one thing she'll never expected: hope. But here's the thing about hope in Outlander. It always comes at a price. If Faith is truly alive, how did she survive? Who took her, and why was Claire made to believe she died in the first place? These aren't just questions, they are emotional grenades. If Season 8 gives us answers, they're going to hurt. Because whatever the truth is, it won't come wrapped in peace. It'll be wrapped in betrayal, in conspiracy, in pain. The moment Claire realizes what happened to her child, what was stolen from her, will change her completely. And Jamie, if he sees the daughter he never knew he had, a child born out of love and grief and everything they suffered in Paris, what will that do to him? And we can't ignore the timing of this reveal. Not when the Revolutionary War is about to rip everything apart. The Frasers don't just have to deal with ghosts from the past. They have to survive a brutal future. With Faith's return, every decision, every fight, every sacrifice carries more weight. There's more to lose now. There's more to protect. And if the rumors are true that Faith isn't just alive but somehow connected to the mysterious powers we've only glimpsed in Claire, then this story is no longer just about finding a daughter. It's about unlocking a legacy. That brings us to Claire's gift, her strange ability to heal, to sense things others can't. We've seen hints of it for seasons now. Her connection to life and death, her intuition, her strength. But if Faith also has this power, it means Claire didn't just pass on her genes, she passed on something much more dangerous. Something the world might not be ready for. And the timing couldn't be more terrifying, because Season 8 isn't just the end of the story. It's the storm before the silence. The final war. And what you thought was a historical drama is about to feel like a prophecy fulfilled. More than anything, this twist raises the emotional stakes sky high. Imagine Claire staring into the eyes of a daughter she believed died in her arms. Imagine realizing the grief you carried for decades was built on a lie. That moment, if it happens, is going to be the breaking point. It will either give her new purpose or destroy her completely. And for a character as deeply human as Claire, who's fought, loved, and healed her way through impossible circumstances, this is the one thing she may not survive emotionally. And what about Faith herself? If she truly returns, who has she become? A young woman raised without her parents, a time traveler like her mother, a stranger with familiar eyes. If Outlander gives us that reunion, it won't be sweet. It will be raw, difficult, shattering. Because this isn't just a daughter coming home. It's a family reassembled from broken pieces, and there's no guarantee they'll fit back together again. That as the final season begins to take shape, one thing is certain. Faith's return is not just a twist. It's a reckoning, the kind that makes or breaks a story. And with only 10 episodes left to close the book on one of TV's most emotionally rich sagas, there's no room for filler. Everything matters now, every moment, every tear, every truth. Faith's return isn't a happy ending. It's the beginning of a heartbreaking one. And believe me, the ending will destroy you. With Faith's return looming over Season 8, another storm is brewing, and it's one we've feared for years. Jamie Fraser might not make it out alive. If the show stays close to go, tell the bees that I am gone. Jamie is about to suffer a devastating injury on the battlefield. In the books, he's found barely breathing on a desolate mountainside. His body broken, his spirit flickering like a candle in the wind. Claire, always the healer, always the fighter, reaches him just in time, but her skills aren't enough. Not this time. And this is where things take a haunting turn. Because Claire is forced to draw on something deeper, something ancient, something unexplainable. It's a moment that pushes the story out of medicine and into something far more mysterious, something closer to magic. And the timing of this, just as Faith re-enters, the picture feels far from accidental. For seasons now, we've known that Claire's abilities go beyond her surgical hands. Her dreams, her intuition, her emotional pull toward life and death. All of it hinted at something greater, something the show has always kept just on the edge of reality. But now, with Jamie dying and Faith possibly alive, maybe even gifted. In the same way, Season 8 has no choice but to explore the full scope of what Claire really is. Is she more than just a time traveler? Could she be a vessel of something older? And if so, what does that mean for her family, for the war, for the timeline itself? This is where the stakes become unbearable. Because if Claire must use her hidden power to save Jamie's life, it won't be a free miracle. Nothing in the Outlander universe comes without cost. The deeper the magic, the darker the consequences. We've seen this theme repeat throughout the series. Powers in this world demand balance. For every life saved, something is lost. So what happens when Claire saves Jamie? What price must she pay? Her strength? Her sanity? A part of her soul? Or someone she loves? And what if the price is Faith? It's that possibility, the terrible irony, that makes this storyline so emotionally brutal. Imagine it, Claire is given the miracle of her daughter's return, only to realize that saving Jamie could mean losing Faith all over again. A cruel twist of fate, one that leaves her holding a choice no mother should ever face, and knowing Claire, she would choose Jamie again and again, but at what cost to herself? The weight of that decision would fracture any ordinary person. But Claire is not ordinary. That's why we've followed her this far. Still, even the strongest heart has a breaking point, and this might be hers. Meanwhile, Jamie's role in this final chapter is just as complicated. If he survives this near-death experience, he will wake up to a world that no longer makes sense. A daughter alive, a wife who may have used some unknown force to bring him back, a war tearing everything apart. Jamie is a man of both faith and reason, but even he will struggle to reconcile what's happening around him. And worse, he'll have to protect his family in a war where sides are blurring and the enemy could be his own son. William is still loyal to the British crown, and the battlefield is growing closer with every episode. If they ever come face to face, it could end in tragedy. But here's where the genius of Outlander shines. None of this is just fantasy for the sake of fantasy. It's all tied to the emotional heartbeat of the story. Love, sacrifice, grief, destiny. Claire's powers aren't just plot devices. They're extensions of her trauma, her will to survive, her love for Jamie and her family. Jamie's battles aren't just historical footnotes. They are personal wars fought in the name of honor, identity, and impossible choices. And now, Faith, both the child and the concept, he's at the center of it all. The writers are weaving something that feels both epic and intimate. They're asking the audience to confront what it means to lose someone, and then to be given them back only to risk losing someone else. And through it all, the question keeps rising. How far would you go to save the people you love? For Claire, the answer has always been as far as I must. But this time, that road might lead her somewhere she can't return from. There's also the looming sense that this power, whatever it is, might not stay in Claire alone. We already know her grandchildren, Jemmy and Mandy, show signs of inherited abilities. If Faith also carries the same gifts, we could be looking at the beginning of something much bigger. A bloodline shaped by time, love, and something ancient. Season 8 could very well set the stage for a future generation of travelers, healers, and protectors. Or it could bring an end to their legacy, depending on how the final choices play out. And remember, Diana Gabaldon has already said that the show will end differently from the books. That means we are flying blind. No predictions, no spoilers. Just raw, emotional chaos. And if there's one thing Outlander has taught us, it's that endings don't come gently. They come like a storm, loud, ruthless, and unforgettable. And when this storm hits, it won't just take characters with it. It will take a piece of us too. As if the return of Faith and Jamie's near-death experience weren't already enough emotional weight for one season. There's another heartbreak heading into Season 8, one that has left fans furious, disappointed, and honestly a little betrayed. Jenny Fraser Murray, Jamie's beloved sister and one of the most powerful female presences in the Outlander world, won't be returning for the final season. And no matter how many interviews the showrunners give, no matter how many we had to focus on Jamie and Claire excuses they offer, nothing makes this easier to accept. Because Jenny wasn't just a background character, she was part of Jamie's foundation, a vital piece of his soul. And watching this series end without her feels like a piece of the puzzle has been ripped out. Let's be clear, this isn't just about screen time. It's about what Jenny represents. She's not just Jamie's sister. She's his conscience, his anchor, the one person who knew him before the wars, before Claire, before the heartbreak and battles and time travel. Jenny is family in the truest, rawest sense of the word. And more than that, she's a survivor. She's been through childbirth, loss, separation, the horrors of war, and the pain of watching her brother disappear into a future she couldn't follow. And through all of it, she never wavered. Her strength, her love, her stubborn fire, they were the heartbeat of Layli Brock. The show choosing to end without revisiting that heartbeat feels like closing the story with the lights still on in one of the most important rooms. Fans have every right to feel upset. Not because we're owed something, but because Jenny has been such an emotionally important figure. To end Jamie's story without his sister is like ending Claire's without Brianna. It just doesn't sit right. Jenny's absence is more than a casting decision. It changes the emotional landscape of the final season. There will be moments of danger, revelation, reunion where her voice should be there, her judgment, her fire, and instead, there will be silence. That silence will be deafening. But here's where it gets even more difficult. This choice isn't just a loss, it's a signal. A signal that in these final 10 episodes, every scene, every character, every line must count. There is no room for waste, no time for extended arcs or secondary plot lines. The show has to go all in on its central themes: identity, sacrifice, legacy, and the brutal, beautiful pain of time. It's a reminder that we are nearing the end, and the writers are being forced to choose what gets closure and what doesn't. Still, for fans who've followed this story from day one, it's hard not to feel like Jenny deserved more, especially when you remember how central she was to Jamie's early life. She was the one who stood at Layli Brock while her brother was being hunted, the one who raised her own family in the shadow of loss. She was the one who welcomed Claire back after years of pain and mystery. And yet, despite all this, she's being quietly erased from the final chapter. Not with a farewell, not with closure. Just gone. And while co-showrunner Matthew B. Roberts has tried to explain this decision by saying there just wasn't enough time to include her, that logic only adds to the sting. Because if this is truly the end of the Fraser legacy as we know it, shouldn't Jenny of all people get to be part of it? Shouldn't she stand beside her brother one last time? Shouldn't we get to see what kind of woman she's become in this final act of war and revelation? The fact that we won't makes her absence feel like an open wound. And it's one the fans aren't likely to forgive easily. What makes this even harder is knowing how much Jenny would have brought to the Faith storyline. Imagine her reaction. Out the niece she thought was lost had survived somehow. Imagine the wisdom, the fire, the fierce protection she would have offered. Jenny never let anyone harm her family, not without a fight. And the thought of her missing all of this, not being there to see the family's redemption and heartbreak play out, is a kind of narrative injustice. But here's the painful truth. Outlander has always been a story about choices. The choices characters make and the choices the writers make. Some lead to joy, some to devastation, and some, like this one, to deep fan disappointment. Jenny's absence doesn't mean she wasn't important. In fact, it proves the opposite. It proves just how much her presence mattered, because now that she's gone, the story feels noticeably emptier. So as we prepare for everything that's coming, the return of Faith, the war, the heartbreak, we're also bracing for the moments that won't happen. The reunions that won't take place. The final goodbyes we'll never get to see. And that, more than anything, is what makes Season 8 so devastating. It's not just what we're shown, it's what we're forced to live without. As Outlander barrels toward its final season, the chaos of personal revelations is set against the backdrop of something even darker: the Revolutionary War. And this isn't just a history lesson or background noise anymore. The war is about to rip the story wide open. Jamie, Claire, Ian, and William are all tangled in it, and their loyalties are set to collide in brutal, irreversible ways. The battlefield won't just be a place of gunpowder and blood, it will be the setting for the most personal heartbreaks of all. Because this time, the war isn't just against a foreign enemy. It's between family, between fathers and sons, between what's right and what must be done to survive. Jamie's position is clearer than ever. He's fighting for the future, for freedom, for his family. But William? He's still wrapped in the uniform of the British Crown, clinging to a system that raised him. As that system tears everything else apart, Charles Vandervaart, who plays William, has already warned fans that Season 8 will see his character pushed to the edge. His identity will fracture, his beliefs will shatter. And as the smoke of war rolls in, the day may come when father and son stand on opposite sides of the same battlefield. That's not just tragic, that's touching. Because Jamie's greatest gift to the world, his son, is now his greatest threat. And neither of them may survive what's coming. And it's not just bullets and bayonets that make this war terrifying. There's a deeper force at work now, a sense of prophecy. Fate. Time itself folding in on the Frasers. With Faith's return, Claire's growing power, and the children showing signs of something otherworldly. It's clear that history is not the only thing repeating. Something is pulling the family toward a reckonings, something ancient, inevitable. And it's not hard to see the war as more than just politics. It feels like a final test, a judgment on everything the Frasers have tried to build. This idea of prophecy of time fighting back isn't new to Outlander, but Season 8 is set to make it unavoidable. Claire's dreams, Jamie's visions, the repeated mentions of a greater plan. They all point to something that's been lurking beneath the surface for years. Something that says this story isn't random, that the love between Jamie and Claire, the survival of their children, the echoes of their bloodline, they all serve a purpose. But if that's true, then what is the end game? What is the final cost? Because love like this doesn't get to exist without consequence. And the more they try to change fate, the more it seems to fight back. That brings us to the question no one wants to ask. Who won't make it out? The final season has no time for mercy. It has to end the story. And for a show like Outlander, that means we should prepare for loss. The kind of loss that rewrites everything. Fans have already started bracing themselves for the possibility that Jamie won't survive, or that Claire will have to let go of him one final time, or worse, that both will be lost in different timelines, cursed to never find each other again. That would be the cruelest ending of all two souls meant to be together, trapped just out of reach. But even beyond the battlefield, the betrayals are building. Alliances will break. Trust will collapse. Secrets will come to light. There are whispers of characters making choices that shock even the most loyal fans. That's the kind of season this will be, one where no one is safe and nothing is predictable. Because as Faith returns, as Jenny disappears, and as time itself seems to turn against the Frasers, every bond will be tested, even the unbreakable ones. And somewhere in all this simid war, magic, and reunion, there's still the quiet heartbreak we haven't talked about enough. Brianna and Roger. They've sacrificed so much. They've crossed time for love. They've lost children, risked death, watched history shift under their feet, and still, they fight for peace. For stability, for some kind of future that isn't built on fear. But in Season 8, peace feels further away than ever. Sophie Skelton warned that this season will mess us up emotionally. And it's not hard to see why. Because the moment you think something will finally go right, it doesn't. That's the cruel rhythm of Outlander. That's why we love it. And that's why it hurts so deeply. And while we still don't know exactly how the show will end, we do know this. It won't be neat, it won't be easy, and it won't be safe. The creators have already said they're departing from the books. Diana Gabaldon hasn't finished her final volume. So the showrunners are steering this ship alone, making choices that could redefine everything. Maybe that's a good thing. Or maybe it's a disaster waiting to happen. After what happened with Game of Thrones, fans are right to be cautious. But one thing's for sure, whatever they're planning, it will leave a mark. And we'll still be feeling it long after the credits roll. This is not just the final chapter of a long, epic love story. It's the final war, the last betrayal, the ultimate goodbye. And whether we lose Jamie, Claire, or someone else entirely, it will not be forgotten. Because the story of Outlander was never about happy endings. It was always about surviving the impossible, until you can't anymore. There's something haunting about watching a show like Outlander reach its final chapter. For over a decade, we've traveled through time with these characters. We've felt their heartbreak, their joy, their terror. We've seen them lose everything, rebuild, and lose it again. And now, with Season 8 just around the corner, we're preparing for the last goodbye, knowing full well it's going to hurt more than we can possibly imagine. This season isn't just about tying up loose ends. It's about unraveling the emotional weight of 8 seasons, about looking back on every decision, every loss, every impossible choice, and realizing that some stories aren't meant to end cleanly. Some are meant to leave scars, and Outlander will. What makes this ending even harder is that we're going in blind. Diana Gabaldon's final book isn't finished, which means the show is taking its own path. We can't predict a path. That doesn't follow any script. And while the actors and creators have promised an epic and emotional finale, what that actually means is anyone's guess. Will Jamie survive? Will Claire get peace? Will Faith be reunited with her parents only to be taken away again? Will time finally take its toll on the Frasers? We don't know. And that's terrifying. because the not knowing is where the real heartbreak lives. And yet, maybe that's the most Outlander thing of all uncertainty. The show has always thrived in the unknown, in what happens when love is tested beyond reason, when history crushes hope, when time itself becomes the enemy. And that's exactly what Season 8 is shaping up to be. A relentless confrontation with everything they've endured and everything they still have to lose. Whether it's on the battlefield, in the silence of a reunion that comes too late, or in the split-second decision between saving one life and letting another go, these characters are about to face the end. And they won't all make it. Faith's return, in many ways, is a mirror of that larger theme. A symbol of what could have been. A chance to rewrite the past, but one that comes too late to fix the damage already done. Her presence brings hope, yes, but also guilt, regret, wondering what life would have looked like if things had been different. And in a show where time travel is real, that question, what if, isn't just emotional, it's dangerous. Because the temptation to change things, to cheat fate, has always come at a price. And Season 8 might just reveal that the biggest price of all is peace. And let's not forget the legacy this show leaves behind. Outlander has never been about fantasy alone, it's been about resilience, about women reclaiming their voices, about love that spans centuries, not just in distance, but in pain and strength. It gave us a heroine who was both healer and warrior, a man who stood by her through every storm, children born of war and wonder. And now, in this final stretch, the weight of that legacy will land squarely on their shoulders. Because the end of the story isn't just about who dies or who lives, it's about what survives. What lessons we carry forward. What hope remains. After the dust settles, the ending will destroy us because it has to. Because no story this powerful can close without shattering something inside us. We've invested too much, felt too deeply, lived too long with these people to walk away unscathed. And honestly, that's the point. We were never meant to leave this world without a scar. Season 8 will carve that into us with every revelation, every sacrifice. Every final word whispered between lovers who know this is the end. There's still no exact premiere date yet, but filming is moving fast, and all signs point to a fall 2025 release. And even though the wait is painful, we know it'll be worth it. Because Outlander has never delivered anything less than raw, breathtaking emotion. We're not just waiting for a final season, we're waiting for closure, for catharsis, for the goodbye we've dreaded since the very beginning. And when it finally arrives, we'll be ready. Not to let go, but to remember. So stay close. Because what's coming is not just a finale. It's the final heartbeat of a story that changed us. And whether it ends in fire, in tears, or in quiet surrender, it will echo through time. Through grief, through love, through us. And when the credits roll, we won't just be watching the end of Outlander, we'll be feeling it forever.